As we get closer to the NBA draft, there's a report that the Hornets are focusing on one specific value in the player they might select at 4. Are they focusing too much on that core value? Plus, we'll give you another mock draft all today. Locked On Hornets.
You are Locked On Hornets, your daily Charlotte Hornets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
In a minute, cuz we live.
It's Locked On Hornets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. Thanks for making us your first listen. We're free. We're available anywhere you get your podcast, and that does include YouTube. There's Doug Branson. You can find him on his Substack, everyhornetsboxscore.com. You can also find him on his other podcast, Locked On NBA, hosting with Matt Moore and Hayes. No first word, no last name, no none of that. Just one word, baby. It's Hayes, and I like it. It's cool. I'm Walker Mail. Listen to me on WFNZ every weekday from 12 to 3 p.m. Sports Radio, 92.7 FM. Once again, this episode is brought to you by Game Time. Game Time?
Game Time?
There you go. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. I'm fighting through the phlegm again. Game Time. It really exposes your vulnerabilities. It separates the strong from the weak. And right now, I'm a little weak, and Game Time is exposing me, Doug.
Well, particularly when you shout it. I think that's the problem, is the shouting of the Game Time. It's nothing about Game Time in particular. It's just, I think we just got to keep you from shouting.
Well, that's so you're going to take advantage of this. You're going to bring up Malik Monk. You're going to bring up Mark Williams trade without context. You're going to bring, what else can you bring up that gets my blood boiling? I don't know.
Well, you're wearing a shirt from your favorite team, the Indiana Pacers.
Yes.
You got your Reggie Miller
shirt.
I'm
not helping my case there. I'm not helping my case at all. When I wear the Reggie Miller shirt after the Pacers win a finals game, I'm not helping my case. So that's just me asking for it. All right, speaking of separating the strong from the weak, that's exactly what the Hornets are trying to do with number 4, okay? Who's going to be the strong player? Who are going to be the weak ones? Hopefully they get this one right. It's not been a great draft history for the Hornets, but perhaps not as bad as you might think for a team that has not gone to the playoffs in quite some time. We have a report from Rafael Barlowe. Rafael Barlowe, you might have heard of him. It's a little in-house promotion, baby. NBABigBoard.com, also host. It's Locked On Big Board is the podcast, correct?
Locked On
It just
NBA
shows up in my
Big Board.
feed.
Get it right.
NBA
Have
Big
some
Board.
respect for my man, Rafael.
Yeah. Sorry, Rafael. Also cool, baby. Locked On NBA. You know, we got the coolest names around here. Rafael Barlowe, NBABigBoard.com, host of NBA Big Board, Locked On NBA Big Board. He has a report on the Hornets. He's got all sorts of reports on different teams, but here's what he has on the Hornets, Doug. Charlotte is reportedly dead set, he says, on valuing intel and character, and their front office is believed to be zeroing in on players who check those boxes. VJ Edgecombe and Kon Knueppel are 2 players I've heard in the same breath all year when it comes to strong intel and professionalism, end quote. So, a couple things. He's hearing this. We've heard this pretty much straight from the horse's mouth on Jeff Peterson. Not to undercut the sources, because this is still valuable information, but we have heard this from Jeff Peterson. We've seen them make their decisions based off this philosophy. High character guys that show you what their character is all about on the court. We've also discussed if there was a player that Charles Lee and this front office would love most. I mean, we had this, you talk about dead set. We've been dead set on the guy that the Hornets have loved this entire time based on their character. We've gone all in on VJ Edgecombe with the interview process, with the way that he plays defense, maybe still some seasoning needed there, but the want to is there. Maybe not as much on Kon Knueppel, but we focused a lot on VJ Edgecombe. I'm not surprised in the slightest, Doug. We've talked about this quite a bit, that the Hornets value character. I guess the question is, are they valuing it too much and prioritizing that, not finding the right ratio of character to talent? That's my question about this.
Well, I think it's tough to say, right? Because they've only had one draft really to judge this on, and it was Tre Johnson, who was going to be a project anyway. So, you know, but obviously there's some raw skills there for Tijon. They didn't get that wrong. He didn't come into that rookie season looking like he had no idea how to play the game of basketball. It's just that there are a lot of things he has to improve on, and we'll see how quickly he can do that. So no, I don't think so, because particularly when you've hired a new head coach and you've got a lot of young players already, you should value character. You should value locker room fit, because you are trying to build a culture. And the only way you can do that is if everyone, I mean, again, we keep doing these comparisons to what the Pacers and the Thunder have going on right now in these finals. And it's every head is turned in the same direction. Everyone understands what's going on and understands how to execute the vision that has been laid out for that team. And so to do that, when you're talking about drafting players in the top 5, I think it's even more important, because there are going to be all of these expectations and understandings about what roles are going to be. And so you want to have guys that can come in and understand, what the pecking order is and how to work their way up that pecking order. So I don't have a problem with that at all. My question is, what does intel mean? Like, what is the intel? Like, does that mean like they are basing their decision off of what other people say about that person, like intelligence in that way? I don't really understand what intel means. I know what character means. I'm still a little confused about what intel means.
Yeah, valuing intel and character. Intel valuing that, I guess, in terms of what people are saying about those guys from within their programs. So if they're hearing what the coaching staff is saying about VJ Edgecombe, what the coaching staff is saying about Kon Knueppel, and the reviews are all glowing, then maybe they're putting a little more stock into that than they usually do. That's the best way I can describe intel, but it's a good clarification to ask for, because I'm not exactly sure either. Boy's giving out a little bit again there.
Well, and listen, they don't get a lot of guys coming in to work out for them, so they've got to value things that they hear from other people sometimes. I don't even know if VJ's going to work out for the Charlotte Hornets. Latest is that he's only worked out for Philadelphia, and that might be it. It looks like VJ might be locked at 3.
It's a good point to bring up. In fact, I'm going to try to search that verbatim, but we should bring up that you have the bullet point here. Is VJ Edgecombe a lock at number 3? And then if you just type in, here I am, I'm just telling you the process. You type in VJ Edgecombe on Twitter, the thing that pops up is VJ Edgecombe Sixers. And there's been a lot of rumblings about Philadelphia possibly zeroing in on VJ. Here's something from our boy. I'm not going to yell because I can't do it. Jake Fisher, though. Doug, it's time to bring out the tackle box.
Oh, we got a big one.
Yeah, we got a big one. VJ Edgecombe, according to Jake Fisher, is a strong candidate to be selected at number 3. Here's what he writes. Edgecombe is said to have impressed with his work ethic, personality, and interviews. He went to dinner with Daryl Morey and other Sixers higher-ups. Even Tyrese Maxey, sources say, flew in for the occasion. The Sixers are certainly intrigued by what type of defensive complement Edgecombe could provide their all-star guard, sources say, in addition to his explosive upside on the offensive side of the ball. So Daryl Morey, Sixers higher-ups, Tyrese Maxey flew in for this meeting. Seems pretty serious.
Well, I mean, look, yeah, there are a lot of smoke screens that are going to get thrown around this time. I'm just not sure why you would go to the trouble of like having Tyrese Maxey fly in, why Tyrese Maxey would go to the trouble of flying in for this occasion, unless you were super serious about making this person a part of your organization. And that in Philly, I mean, they want to make the playoffs ASAP. So, I don't think they've got a lot of time to fool around with smoke screens and like doing anything like that. So, yeah, I mean, I take that very seriously. I think VJ Edgecombe could very well go to Philly. Now, obviously, look, if Philly is offered something for that 3 pick that they can't refuse, is it going to be like, well, we couldn't do it because we flew Tyrese Maxey in to have dinner? No, of course not. Like, they can move the pick. But that shows you, yeah, there is a level of seriousness here that I think the Hornets have to take seriously and start to think about their backup plan with the 4 pick.
Well, and if Tyrese Maxey has the meeting, he flies in for it, likes him, and they don't select him, well, now you're just poking the bear with no reason to poke the bear. You didn't have to fly Tyrese
you better
in
deliver a package, a player, that is going to be more enticing, and you could sell Maxey on, hey, we can win with this player way more than we could have won with VJ.
Last thing on the just the workout and the smokescreen season that is pre-draft process. Okay, you could look at all of this and say it's all a smokescreen. Daryl Morey, mad genius anyway, right? Mad scientist. You could say that, but they have a lot of power to select VJ Edgecombe. I don't think they're in a position where they need to be paranoid, because you have Cooper Flagg, going number 1. That's happening. Dylan Harper is interesting, I guess. That would be the only thing you worry about a little bit if you're Philadelphia. Do you feel like you're showing your cards too much, where San Antonio just falls in love with the character as well, and they take VJ, but you already have your Stephon Castle type guy, right? You don't VJ. There's some overlap there.
I think if that were true, VJ would be working out with San Antonio. You know what I'm saying? Like if VJ's only worked out with Philly and hasn't worked out with anyone else and doesn't work out with anyone else, I think we're pretty close.
I'm with you. So that's the only place that this gets a little wonky. In Philadelphia, they've shown their cards and the house of cards falls down, but they got a lot of power here, man. And so it's like, okay, if Charlotte wants them, too bad. They got the 4th pick. If Utah wants them, too bad. They got the 5th pick. You want to trade up? Okay, you're going to trade up to 2. Go ahead. Well, now you're trading up for Dylan Harper. We can be open about this stuff. It doesn't. Like you never want to be too crazy about it, but they're relatively safe in pre-draft process terms.
And I'll just say quickly before we move on, I don't think the Hornets should move up to 3 and give an extra pick or anything, or 33 and 34 or whatever it would take to get to 3, just to hop up one spot and get VJ Edgecombe. I'm not that confident. I don't think VJ Edgecombe is the kind of player that you give up assets, particularly when you're at 4, and I think you can get another wing prospect like Kon Knueppel, like Tre Johnson, who I'm high on. I'm high on Kon Knueppel too. I think he would be great. I think if you could get either of those players at 4, then there's no reason to move to 3 and get VJ Edgecombe. It's all a roll of the dice, and I think that Kon Knueppel and Tre Johnson they're as good a rolls as VJ Edgecombe. The fit is a little bit better with Edgecombe, but I think it's all still a dice roll.
All right, coming up next on the Locked On Hornets podcast.
Bees everywhere!
Maybe we talk a little more about Kon Knueppel's fit here in Charlotte. Not talked a lot about Kon Knueppel besides
it's
making
heating
fun of
up.
his
I'm
last
telling
name.
you right now. I'm looking at some mock drafts.
Sure.
It's heating up.
Oh no, it's definitely heating up in the last couple days, last week for sure. So perhaps we give you some thoughts there, the fit, and also there's another name being floated about in the Charlotte Hornets sphere, like kinda star. At least he's on some commercials, Wingstop commercials that you've seen a million times. If that gives you a hint, could the Hornets go after that guy? That's coming up next. LOH. This episode is brought to you by Game Time. Game Time?
I'm sorry, I'm doing research.
Game Time. Game Time, where are you?
I'm doing research.
Oh, you're not going to do it at all. That's bad. All right, you got one more time to make up for it at the end of this. There's nothing like the NBA playoffs, the intensity, the buzzer beaters, the fans losing their minds. It's the kind of atmosphere you must experience live, and this year's matchups are already delivering. The finals, oh, they're delivering all right. It's the kind of atmosphere you must experience again. Game Time makes it fast and easy to do so by getting seats faster for you, even for the biggest playoff games. Prices on the app actually drop closer to tip-off, and with killer last-minute deals, panoramic seat views, and no surprise fees, Game Time is a total game changer. Plus, I know you like the NBA, having watched and listened to this podcast, but if you like the NFL also, the NFL schedule release, it just dropped, and you better believe I'm already looking at my fall calendar. I'm picking what games I want to go to. Getting a little tailgate going on a Sunday, that Rams home game here in Charlotte, that's what I'm looking at right now, but there are plenty of other division games that might get a little rowdy. I want to be in on that. I want to go to Game Time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with the Game Time app. Create an account. Use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account. Redeem code LOCKEDONNBA. LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. More Locked On Hornets ahead. I won't spoil any mock drafts you might have on day 51 of 61, but you did say that we're seeing a lot more Kon Knueppel to the Hornets at number 4, where VJ Edgecombe is being linked a lot more to Philly, given the reports we just talked about in the previous segment. So what does a Kon Knueppel look like in a Charlotte Hornets jersey? Be careful with that assessment. If you think about it,
I'm seeing a lot of Kon Knueppel. I mean, it's being exposed everywhere
it's
on
a lot.
These mock drafts that are coming up, because I think people are coming to terms with the fact that the consensus of VJ Edgecombe to Charlotte is no longer the consensus. They have to move this, and they have to figure out, all right, who is Charlotte going to take? And no ceilings. has a new mock draft out, and they've got Kon Knueppel going to the Charlotte Hornets at number 4 after they have Ace Bailey still going 3 to the 76ers, so they've still got VJ Edgecombe available, and they still have Knueppel going 4. And I think a lot of this is, okay, let's see what this fit is. Let's try this more so than intel, actual intelligence on what the Hornets are going to do. But they like the fit here with Kon Knueppel, 6'6", 219, good feel for the game, 14.4 points per game, 4 rebounds, 2.7 assists. They actually like his physicality on the defensive end of the floor. Obviously athleticism is going to be a minus for Knueppel, but they think he plays physically on both ends of the floor, and that certainly would appeal to a Hornets team that needs more physicality.
Yeah, he's physical. It's still something I worry about. I know
they
when
call
you
him
watch
country strong.
Country strong. That's what
country
it is. Look, man, I know people talk about the defense with Kon being better than what you would expect, right? Because he's the slow guy. He's not athletic. It's the typical shooter role. He's going to be hunted on defense. And then people say, oh, hold on, go watch. He's actually a lot better than what you might anticipate given his frame, given his lack of athleticism. It's true. He's not scared. That matters, man. I really believe that. He is strong. He does use his body well. He's not long. That's something that's, okay. He measured 6'5" without shoes on. That's a little shorter than what he was listed at. So with Ace Bailey dropping the most, given his listed 6'10" height, actually coming in at like 6'7.5" without shoes on, Kon was listed at 6'7", and he comes in at 6'5" without shoes on. Okay, that's still fine enough for a 2 guard. He's going to be playing the 2. That's fine.
Exactly. Can he shoot it? Is he long in terms of can he hit the long ball? That's it. That's all I care about. He's an elite shooter.
Enough.
Let's go.
Fair enough. He's an elite shooter. I'd like to not be exposed defensively, and that's a question for me. So I think he holds up well enough. He can absorb contact, and that's a big deal. But also he's absorbing contact against a lot of the guards in the ACC that aren't going to be NBA caliber guards and aren't going to be as quick as NBA caliber guards. And that's something I worry about. He's going to be hunted on a team with LaMelo and Brandon at the top, who aren't the best of defenders. I still think they're going to look at Kon and attack him more so. Maybe they switch and then they try to attack LaMelo, but really I think they're going to attack Kon quite a bit also. So the thing here is, if you don't draft VJ Edgecombe, then you're going to draft a guy that's a minus defensively for a couple of years, maybe, right? So, so Kon maybe not all that different from Tre, Ace, other guys in that regard. It's what separates VJ from all these other guys here at number 4. That's what I worry about with Kon. But, man, the ACC tournament, he really absorbed a lot of contact offensively. He does have a great feel. You're right. He absolutely can shoot the hell out of the basketball. The vision is awesome. The lob threat, he knows exactly when to bring the big out, and then right at the right time. He's so patient. He's so patient dribbling the basketball, and then right at the right time, bam, here's an easy bucket for Malawach. Maybe you insert Mark Williams into that role. I wouldn't hate it, Doug. I'd absolutely worry about the defense. I'm tired of this defense being terrible. It's been terrible for quite some time. They got better last year, but I want some defensive type players that aren't a liability on that end of the floor, or offensive players that aren't a liability on the defensive end. But Kon is fun, and there are a lot of things to like. I wouldn't hate it.
I wouldn't hate it either. I'm higher on Tre Johnson. I mean, if you're giving me the option between those two guys, I would rather them take Tre Johnson because I think there is a little bit more star upside. And if you're picking at 4, that matters. Honestly, it just does. Like you want to come away 3 or 4 years from now looking back on a top 4 pick and saying, we nailed it. We got one of our better, more paid players on this team came from the top 4 in the draft. Not, it's a good player, played for us for many years, but was ultimately a role player. Tre Johnson offers you that opportunity, I think, particularly with his offensive skill set. I think he's underrated as a defender. Obviously, there's stuff to work on, but I think he will have some more physical tools if he bulks up a little bit that I think he can access in order to be an impact player on the defensive end. Can he be average defensively, just holding his man, and at the same time, can he grab a few steals a game to stack a few more possessions for your team? I think the answer to that is if he gets a few years with Charles Lee, seems like he has the want to, seems like he has the intelligence such that he could make that transition pretty cleanly. So I like Tre Johnson over Kon Knueppel. Although, again, I heard arguments for Knueppel that I'm like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense too. Like I could see him just from a ball handling, playmaking perspective, I could see him probably leading an all bench unit more than I can Tre Johnson, who I think, particularly for the first couple of years, is probably going to have to be paired alongside a Ball or a Brandon Miller in a lineup to be most effective.
Yeah, look, a lot of green, right? When we do the percentiles thing, whatever website you want to go to, College Basketball Analytics is the one I'm using for these prospects. And there's a lot of green. He's in the green percentile, the positive way up there, 90th percentile with a lot of offensive numbers because he is so efficient. And it was really a pleasure to watch him in the ACC tourney. That's the thing. I do wonder if Cooper Flagg never gets hurt, if that does not happen in Charlotte, I do wonder if he gets knocked like, I don't know, 3-4 spots, not a ton, but that's all the difference in, that's quite literally millions of dollars of difference for Kon Knueppel. What he showed at the tourney here in Charlotte as the primary creator, primary ball handler, a guy that was ready to take on all of the defensive attention up there on the perimeter. That was a big time answer for him. And impressive stuff. So I wouldn't hate it.
I just look at Tre Johnson and I see a guy who I think at the next level is going to be able to get his own shot, is going to be able to create for himself. And that's the number one indicator of like a star in this league. And so I see glimmers of that. With Kon Knueppel, I don't see that at all. Like he's going to be someone that can be a plus role player on your team. And that is valuable. I'm not knocking the value, but when you're talking about the 4th overall selection, I would be more comfortable with the upside of having a guy that could potentially be the second or best player on your team.
No, I do not disagree with you. I would go Tre Johnson. I would go VJ Edgecombe. I'd go Tre Johnson, and then Kon Knueppel would be after those guys right now. Last thing, I do value ball handling, which, again, that's not a point in VJ Edgecombe's favor. I just value the defense more than I'm worried about the ball handling. But Tre Johnson can handle it, and that is fun. Like watching Tre just cook dudes off the dribble and then go get his shot, even if he doesn't shoot a lot at the rim. Kon Knueppel is much more efficient with his dribbling, knows when to put it on the deck, knows his limitations. So what do you care about working with most? Dialing Tre back to be more efficient with his dribbling, but he absolutely can do it, or trying to speed Kon up and get him, some more angles with speed. Yeah, the answer is clearly Tre. Like that's the easier path to navigate when trying to evaluate the handle going to the next level.
And, eventually the Charlotte Hornets are going to have to employ a guard that can get downhill and make an impact at the rim. And so that's been a knock recently on VJ Edgecombe. They're like, he can get downhill, but when he gets to the rim, he flubs it too much. With I think Tre Johnson avoids, or at least in that year at Texas, avoided going to the rim. So is that that system? Is that like, well, he just really wanted to show off his shooting skills, which he knew? Look, if you're a guy and you have like 1 year to show everybody what you can do, why wouldn't you lean on your elite skill? Like, I know I can shoot. I'm going to go ahead and do that. And if I look incomplete, well, that's fine. Better than, oh, well, I don't really know what this guy does. Does he have one elite skill? So, like, I get it. Guys hide skills all the time. And that's going to be the thing, the intel that the Charlotte Hornets are going to have to figure out is like, ask the coaches, look at his high school tape, go and interview him yourself, get him in for a workout and see, like, can this guy get downhill against actual NBA competition? And if he can, again, that's when the complete puzzle starts to show itself. And I think Tre Johnson, I've been in love with him.
He's fun.
He was probably one of the first guys I gave a draft rose, even before VJ Edgecombe. So I'm not going to quit him now. Tre Johnson all the way, baby.
No, this one's hard for me to get a grip on between those two guys, but it'd be those two at the leader of the clubhouse for me. I like both of them. It's just whether, okay, do you want to lean defense? Do you want to lean offense? Your preference. All right, coming up next on the Locked On Hornets podcast.
He's everywhere!
If the Hornets go after this player, then you'd be leaning all the way in on offense. Should they go after a certain player out there, possibly on the market? We don't even know for sure if he's on the market yet. That's still to come, plus another mock draft. Locked On Hornets. This episode is brought to you by Wayfair. There's nothing like stepping into your own outdoor space and feeling like you've escaped to a personal oasis. If you're wanting to update your patio this season, Wayfair has made it so easy to turn into a space that feels like yours. Comfortable, stylish, and ready for summer. Wayfair has everything you need to level up your outdoor space. Conversation sets, outdoor bars, fire pits, hot tubs, gazebos, and yes, even the perfect string lights to set the vibe. It's like giving your backyard that resort feel without the resort price tag. Now, whether you're hosting with friends or just unwinding with a book, it genuinely feels like your own private retreat when you go to Wayfair and search for some of the options that they have. Again, don't wait. Make your outdoor space your dream oasis today with Wayfair and enjoy it all summer long. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop a huge outdoor selection. That's Wayfair, wayfair.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. More Locked On Hornets ahead. All right, I already mentioned something about a mad scientist, a mad genius. Coming back from the Wayfair read, Doug was laughing like a mad scientist. Tell the people why you're laughing in a creepy way.
Well, first of all, going into that break, you promised another mock draft, which I'm sure I've forgotten one along the way, so I have no problem doubling up because I already gave you the no ceilings mock draft. I have no problem dialing up another mock draft. They have been plentiful. Let me say, I haven't done a mock draft a day this early, and I was a little scared. I thought I was going to have to go out and find something from the Sacramento Bee or something to fill the void. But people have just really been on it. I think they've recognized the strength of this draft, the characters in this draft, the number of popular teams that are in the top 3. I think that has a lot to do with it. I think when you're talking about doing a mock draft that's going to get hits from Philadelphia, from Dallas, from San Antonio, then it makes a lot more sense to invest in those mock drafts. But so I went and got a second one, and this is from The Athletic, and they have the Charlotte Hornets not selecting at 4. They've got a projected trade where the Charlotte Hornets do the thing that I asked them very nicely not to do in the first segment, which is trade up to 3 and select VJ Edgecombe out of Baylor. And the Hornets in this scenario, they trade the number 4 pick. They trade the number 32 pick to the Philadelphia 76ers. Did I say 33 and 34? Do they have the 32nd pick? Pretty sure they have 33 and 34. Look that up.
33, 34, yeah.
So they traded a pick. Okay, so The Athletic has them trading a pick that I don't think they have. I don't think they have the number 32 pick with the Philadelphia 76ers for the number 3 pick and Andre Drummond.
Oh, God. He's here now?
Andre Drummond.
Do
Finally.
the thing. Do the thing. Get out of here, Andre. Get out of here, Andre Drummond.
Get out of here, Andre Drummond. Get out of here, DeMar DeRozan. Get out of here, Russell Westbrook. No, Andre Drummond is the name that was constantly associated with the Charlotte Hornets and free agency and trade rumors. Here we go, Andre Drummond, finally in Charlotte.
We tried to create a Mount Rushmore of almost Hornets. I can't believe we left off Andre Drummond because he's there. As soon as you remember the name, it's like, oh, he's immediately had his face etched in the mountain of almost Hornets immediately. I completely forgot about it. It was a whole bit from you. Get out of here, Andre Drummond.
That's why now you understand. Now you understand why I was laughing maniacally.
I do.
Finally
honestly,
happened.
It was called for. I needed that laugh. All right, speaking of another guy that the Hornets could go after, perhaps we don't spend a ton of time on this, but Brett Siegel, national NBA insider and reporter for Clutch Points. Brett Siegel, Clutch Points, some of the best graphics when they break news, sometimes break news. It's fantastic. Here's what he writes. If it's the Rockets that pull off the trade for Kevin Durant, expect Jalen Green, if he's the one involved, to be rerouted elsewhere. I do know that the Hornets would be a team to keep a close eye on if that were to happen. The Hornets were fans of Jalen Green in 2021, and if he's dealt by Houston, Green needs a team where he can play free off an established playmaker, such as LaMelo Ball. My question to you, is there anything here? Do we take this with any kind of validity whatsoever? I'm throwing it out there. Third segment, willing to move on quickly. That's what I throw to you.
Someone needs to tell Brett that the entire front office ownership structure of the team has turned over since 2021. So I don't know why we're talking about 2021 with any relevance to what the Charlotte Hornets, they have a new coach, new GM, new owners. Like it's no, Jalen Green, I think good. Look, 23 years old, good size at the guard position in terms of height, but like offensively, incredibly inconsistent. I will say that Houston loves him, and Houston has a defensive-minded team and is run by a psycho and I say that in a glowing terms about Ime Udoka. I mean, that guy is insane in all of the best ways that I love Missoula for, and all of the crazy coaches out there that have crazy teams that they get to play crazy. And Jalen Green has like I know fans in Houston, and I don't know if Jackson Gatlin, I won't say the host of the Locked On Rockets is one of them, but I know he reflects a lot of fans and talks about fans that don't want Jalen Green to play, and yet Houston refuses to not play him. So, you know, I strain to say he's not a culture guy if he's surviving in that culture. But it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
No, it doesn't to me either. So a couple things, rough playoff series against Golden State. Great game two. 38 points.
That's it.
Fantastic.
He's going to have the game.
That's it.
And then he's also going to have the game.
Oh, but at least in this postseason, 6 of them were the latter. One was the fun game. So I don't know if that's a good trade-off. The other thing is, this makes sense if Mitch Kupchak, who is, I guess, still in the building, is peeking out like that one graphic that we saw with him and Steve Clifford with Scary Face. If Mitch Kupchak is peeking out with Ghost Face, Jalen Green is out there.
You know,
if you want to go after Jalen, I don't know. Green means go. Maybe green means go for Jalen Green. I don't know. Maybe.
That's pretty good. You've been
impression.
really working on that. I appreciate that. Yeah, Jeff Peterson getting on the Ouija board to figure out what to do, and it just starts YOUKNOWJ, and down the line. Yeah. So I think.
Maybe if he has any power, maybe that's the game. Oh, I thought this was Jeff Green. And that would be a disaster. All right, mock draft time. Mock draft time. Do you have a mock draft for the people?
I don't. What do you want from me? I've given you 2 already. You are draining me. You're like a vampire with these mock drafts. You are going to just suck every amount of blood away from me, and I don't know what to do anymore. I'm bloodless.
I'm just mad at you for not giving me a game time earlier. I tried to do something to you after
You're draining me.
That's it.
I'll read to you from this mock draft from The Athletic, which is a part of the New York Times. You think their standards would be a little bit high. Who's doing this? Let me put a name to this nonsense. Sam Vecini? Come on, Sam. How do you get the pick wrong? It's not the number 32 pick. You had 2 chances. The Hornets have the 33 and the 34. You had 2 shots at this, and you got it wrong. Number 32.
Sam.
Hornets don't have the 32nd pick to trade. Maybe he's thinking they trade the 33 and the 34 to move up to 32, and then trade the 32 and the number 4.
That would be. That's some galaxy brain stuff right there. Yeah, I did. I forgot that you already said that. I forgot that was a part of the bit with the mock draft. So I'm sorry for continuing to go back to the mock draft. Well,
here's what Sam writes: if the Hornets think he's the guy in VJ Edgecombe, paying one of your 2 second-round selections while taking on Drummond's $5 million this year, not a lot. It's not a lot of money. Is worth trading up. The Sixers get financial flexibility by taking the Drummond deal off their books. I guess it's a lot of money if you're facing Apron, which the Hornets are not currently. The Sixers get the financial flexibility, would have an additional asset at the top of the second round. Maybe they could move into the latter portion of the first round, sell it for future picks. They'd have options. All I would say to this, Sam, I think that all makes sense to me, but at the same time, again, if they're flying in Tyrese Maxey, if they're having dinner with this guy, I think they want to date. They want to date long term.
What about our center room, if that's the case? Mark Williams, Nurkic, Andre Drummond, Moussa Diabate. That is a hell of a center room. It probably wouldn't look like that, to be honest, but that'd be a hell of a center room. All right, that'll do it for Locked On Hornets. Thanks for making us your first listen. We're free and available anywhere you get your podcast. That's Doug Branson, the keeper of all the mock drafts. He gives you 5 tomorrow. I force him 5 tomorrow. Also, go catch him on his Substack, everyhornetsboxscore.com. Listen to the podcast. Locked On NBA. I'm breaking down. We'll see if I get to the finish line. I'm Walker Mail. Listen to me on WFNZ every weekday from 12 to 3 p.m. Have a great rest of your day. We'll be back with you tomorrow. I did it.